Once upon a time, there were two cities, separated by mountains and hills and rivers. A construction company was hired to build a train track between those two cities to reduce travel time. The engineers decided it would be a good idea to start the train track from either end and meet in the middle. Great idea, everyone agreed. And away they went, blasting every mountain in their way to get the train tracks laid. They were making great progress and were very pleased with themselves. But when they finally met in the middle, they realized they had a problem. The train tracks didn't align. Someone had to be blamed for this. But who? The engineers started pointing fingers at each other, blaming each other for bad communication, poor consultation, and lack of collaboration between the teams. But, unknown to them, the real problem was coordination, defined as the act of arranging, putting things in order, and making things run smoothly together. Arranging, putting things in order, running smoothly? How hard can that be? Well, coordination is not as easy as it sounds, and poor coordination is far more common than you might think. Nobody knows that better than NGOs. Let me explain. You see, it's no surprise Malawi has a great many social problems. No matter what sector you look at, from energy to food to water, you name it, every sector has major problems. And it's often the role of government to deal with these social problems. But the government is generally undercapacitated, overstretched, and underfunded to provide these social services. This is why NGOs are extremely crucial to social services, because they fill a gap the government wouldn't be able to fill. So NGOs very often work very closely with government, supporting national plans and priorities so social services are better and end up benefiting everyone, everywhere, forever. Wouldn't that be amazing if that were true? The truth is, very often none of this happens. NGOs usually work on their own, bypassing government and implementing donor interests rather than supporting government priorities, all in the name of helping the poor. And because there are so many NGOs working in Malawi, it is sadly commonplace that two NGOs can work in the same village, doing the same activities, targeting the same people, but with different pots of money, and the government won't even know it's happening. This is why, in the water sector, for example, it is not uncommon for one village to have more water points than they actually need, while another village has none at all. This leads to a waste and misallocation of resources. The same things NGOs often accuse government of doing. Whenever such NGOs are taken to task about such a situation, each NGO blames the other NGO for not coordinating better with that NGO. Kind of like the engineers we all know about. But can't the government do something? Well, besides being cash-strapped and undercapacitated, government usually talks a lot but does very little, usually because they're afraid to lose that much-needed NGO money that comes into the district. So basically, government may have the mandate, but it has no power, while NGOs have the power, but no mandate. Okay, then can't these NGOs just talk to each other, you might ask? But that's the thing. NGOs have networks, forums, workshops, symposia, meetings, and conferences year in and year out, where they do nothing but talk, sometimes about coordination. So the problem isn't that NGOs aren't talking to each other. Talking is what NGOs are good at. And it's not that NGOs don't know about the benefits of good coordination. They just don't want to coordinate, unless donors demand it. So poor coordination among NGOs leads to waste and a misallocation of resources. But it just doesn't end there. The problem of waste created by NGOs falls right back in the laps of government, the same government that didn't create the problem, but we all expect them to solve it. And when the government fails to solve this problem, everyone blames them for not doing their job, even the very same NGOs that created those problems, usually with more donor funding. Now, the government should be blamed for certain things, but is it fair to blame them for problems created by NGOs? And in the end, Malawi's social problems never get solved, and things never change. But some things got to change. But where do we start? Here are a few ideas. Government. Stop being a toothless bulldog and start bringing more sanity to the social sector. If you continue leaving NGOs to their own devices because you're afraid of losing NGO money, NGOs will continue to create new problems you will not have the budget or the capacity to solve. Donors. You wield a lot of power. Encourage coordination within all your funded projects and ensure your projects are aligned with government priorities. And also, support coordination efforts of network organizations like WestNet in the water sector so they can do a better job of reining in NGOs in their networks. NGOs. Support government systems even when it's frustrating to do so. Working with government can be hard, but always remember, government will be here long after you're gone. Or we could just keep doing what we've been doing for years, hope for a different result, and blame each other when the result remains the same. But let's remember, no amount of blaming will ever connect the train tracks.